some sports? Wants to go fast. Anybody? I want to go fast.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the MyT Sports Minute. I am your host, Talon T. Taylor, and it's another one of those lovely days in South Florida. It's Christmas, not Christmas Eve, but it's New Year's Eve, and we're looking to have another 80-degree plus day. But you know what I say? Regardless of the time and regardless of the weather, it's always a good time to talk some sports. So let's talk. Listen, we're just gonna get right into this one. Chip Kelly is out of Philly, and I don't think anybody that I know, anybody out there, is shedding a tear. Outside of probably his close family and friends, I don't even think they really even care. But no, none of the fans, none of the personnel, none of the players. You know, they're batting a tear, shedding an eye. You know, I don't even think they're giving two hoots. You know, like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I ain't want to bring it back this early in the show. Like, I just want to drop F-bombs. Like, you know, no. Like, I may go F-free today. But one of the weirdest things that I found is that they're trying to figure out, where did he go wrong? Was it Chip Kelly, the GM, that traded away his most talented players in Deshaun Jackson and Shady McCoy, you know, and all the pieces they got rid of? Or was it the coach that when they're not using their running, when they're using sweep patterns, you know, for their running back that happens to be a downhill runner, you know, when guys that could you use for speed, like the Sproles of the world, aren't being utilized correctly, you know, just when he's just isn't managing his personnel properly. Offense isn't clicking. Defense is consistently on the field being worn out in games. So they wonder, who was it? Was it the coach? Was it the GM? And, I mean, is this not the same person regardless? Is not the same person that got rid of LaShawn McCoy and got rid of Deshaun Jackson also the same person that runs his team into the ground, that his players do not like, that his players think is racist, and his defense is struggling and can't get off the field? They're all one and the same. You forget, at the end of the day, Chip Kelly is known as one of the smartest people in the room consistently. And there's one thing I remember hearing about Chip Kelly, that he's a genius. He's always the smartest person in the room. Well, guess what? Mr. Smart Guy didn't get it so right. And just because he's been claimed to be the smartest person in the room, it's been this downfall of his, because you know he started off fast. This downfall of his was almost egged on, and I can say egged on, but you can tell that there were personnel around the league that was salivating for his demise. So him being gone before the end of the season is no real surprise. But like I said, if you wonder if it was Chip Kelly, the GM, the coach, or whoever, no, it was Chip Kelly, the person. This is who he is. Chip Kelly has this way about him that I think is just that. I guess when you look at it, it may really be better suited for a bunch of guys that have to listen to you versus a bunch of guys that you want to listen to you. So now we start looking and wondering, hey, what's going to go happen in Philly next? Because what is going to be Philly's next move? Because now they have no coach. Not only do they have no coach, they have no team. Like, if you honestly think about it, Philly may have to rebuild altogether. I mean, the most that they have is 3 running backs. Everything that Chip Kelly has traded for is injury prone. Even the running back he traded for is injury prone. The quarterback, the defensive people, I'm sorry, the running backs, they're all injury prone. So I'm gonna be interested to see if not for anything else, I'm gonna be watching Philly this off season just to see what they do, because technically Philly needs to rebuild. And 2 years ago, when Chip Kelly took this team over, they had talent that could have lasted them for 5 years that they shouldn't need to rebuild for. At most, at worst, if you want to call it that, Philly probably should have been looking for a defensive end and a quarterback. At worst. Yeah. It was gonna be interesting to see what they do over there. You know, we're just gonna move on. I don't want to talk about Chip Kelly more because, you know, Chip Kelly isn't worth being talked about anymore until he gets a new job. Like, I really don't care about what Chip Kelly does. Chip Kelly was never really that interesting to me to begin with. But let's talk about these picks last week. Last week we went, what was it, like 9-7, something like that. But we already knew. Like, there's a couple of things I picked that were more heart-based than mind-based, and even those, I still went like half and half for it, surprisingly. Like, who would have thought that Baltimore would have beat out Pittsburgh, and even I don't even think I'm pretty sure I picked Pittsburgh on that one last week. But the Jets, you know, eking out in New England, like I told you guys, like, this is the games that they needed to win if they were going to prove that they were going to be a championship contender. Because, like I said, if they lost that game against New England, I wanted them to lose this next game coming up for Week 17 because they just wouldn't deserve to be in the playoffs, and I would have hoped they would have built a fire in them for next year. But nah, they took care of business, which means that there's a fire that's there, and they need to hurry up and ride this. Go into Buffalo next week and take care of business. We're not going to get there yet. We're going to still recap. Actually, who cares about the recap? Like, that's really what it is. Listen. We went 9-7. Jets won. I'm happy. You know, I could get to say Jets, Jets, all over New England fanboys. Buffalo did what they should have done and beat Dallas. Carolina shockingly lost. I guess we do have a little bit to talk about. Carolina shockingly lost because I had Carolina. And see, that's what you get when you get division games, man. And I'm telling you, that's what makes, when the NFL decided to make this last month of NFL primarily division games, he changed the whole entire game. It really did. Because what starts to happen now is that those games at the end of the season, like, they really do have meaning now. And not only that, look at it. Teams like Carolina, who's rolling, they play a Division 4, a team that knows them, a team that has talent that's been struggling but knows them. And they took them out. The Jets. Look at the Jets. Playing New England, a team that is usually better than them, that New England is usually picked to beat. Right, the Jets go in there, they're familiar with them, and they go in there and they take them out to help solidify their playoff run. Washington did exactly what I told you to do. What I told you they were going to do. Washington looked like the most consistent team in that division. That's why they were going to win that division. Well, Washington still looks like the most consistent team in that division, and I don't see them faltering. And that's what happened last week. So, with this week coming into play, let's start getting together these picks. But not only the picks, we are going to give you the games of the week brought to you by Multivest Video Games. Multivest. Play more, save more, get more. Just 5 minutes from Tootsie's and Sun Life Stadium on 183rd Avenue, Miami Gardens, Florida. I'm telling you, man, you guys keep tripping. Like, those hoverboards, not the hoverboards, those balance boards, those things flew off the shelf. Like, them kids couldn't get enough of them. Like, you should have seen the pictures of the kids in the streets playing on. Like seriously, they took videos of themselves in the streets playing. Like, you remember how we used to do back in the day when we had our bikes, and let's say it was a couple of us, like 4 or 5 of us that got a brand new bike. We go gather everybody, you know, in their bikes and they start riding all over the place. That's kind of what happened down here. Like, everybody got their balance board and they hit the streets, and thank you technology, they started sharing it, they started tweeting it, they started Instagramming it, Snapchatting it, and yeah, we got some really nice footage. You know, check me out. I want to check out the page. I believe it's on the website. On my Facebook page, the MyT Sports, yeah, Facebook. Actually, it may not even be on there. Maybe on my Instagram page. Instagram's page a little bit more personal. You have to find that one. You have to search. You can find it, but that one's a little bit more personal. Like, I don't really do a lot of sports stuff on there. So yeah, so okay, so there's a couple of games that interest me, and like I said, they're all division games, but they all have a little bit different meaning. First and foremost, the number one game that I'm interested in, obviously for me, is Jets versus Buffalo, because obviously I am a Jets fan, and not only am a Jets fan, I'm a Rex Ryan fan. And listen, if there's anything that Rex Ryan is good for, is knowing how to spoil a good time. And he has done this in the past, and I don't want to see him do this now. Like I said, more than anything, Rex Ryan is a motivator of people. And if there's anything that he can probably do is to get his team up for the last game of the season, to play against their now division rival, now more than it's probably ever been in the past, and stop a team from having control over their playoff aspirations. So there's a lot going on there. And like I said, this is a matchup in the AFC East that has been fairly interesting this year. I mean, I say more than fairly interesting. Like, there's been a lot of news coming out there. I mean, New England Patriots up and down, what Rex Ryan has done with Buffalo, what's going on with the whole entire coaching staff down there in Miami, and how well that the Jets happen to be playing, in the consistency with their two wide receivers, putting up those 2 touchdowns in almost every single, in 8 games, beating out records like Randy Moss and my boy. Come on, man, how I'm going to forget his name all of a sudden? I really did. And it's a bad thing, too, that I'm using every single reference I know so that you know that I know who I'm talking about. Number 2 on the list. Jeez, he's on every freaking week with Mike, and Mike even has his own little thing on NFL Live. Chris Carter. There we go. CC. Jeez. Chris Carter and Randy Moss. So, yeah, like, it's been pretty good things to see. Next, obviously, only because they're still the best team in the league, I want to see if Carolina can pick back up where they left off and continue the win. But not only continue to win, to see if they can continue that win to be the momentum to take up into the playoffs to continue winning. Because, listen, I would love to see Carolina in the Super Bowl. Who would I want to see them against? Obviously, the New York Jets. I don't think that's gonna happen, but listen, it's something I can wish for. Like I said, there are just way too many good teams out there, and then not to mention that their opponent interests me as well. I would love to see what Jameis Winston does with his team as he looks across the field and he sees, I guess what you could call it, like what could be an older him or older version of him. I'm a big physical quarterback that can throw darts, but also can use his legs, use his mind. Has a personality that just attracts people. Has a magnetic personality. Let's just say that. But has a personality that attracts people to him. So when I watch this, I want to see if Jameis Winston, takes the love of this matchup out of it. Love and a growth from it, knowing that, listen, across that field is somebody very much similar to my playing style, and I can be where he is in the next couple of years if I stay focused. Because listen, they got weapons down there in Tampa. They just got to start learning how to win. So even though I don't think Tampa's going to win this game, and I'm pretty sure Carolina's going to come away with this victory, I am way more interested in it just to see Cam Newton. I'm way more interested in this game than just seeing Cam Newton. That's an NFC South matchup, and like I said, it's not just about Carolina, because like I said, Carolina has some foes that they have to worry about in their NFC playoff run, and these next slate of games is basically all their opponents, all their possible opponents. They have Seattle and Arizona with that NFC West matchup, and even though Arizona has already locked up the NFC West, Seattle is still making that hot playoff push that they're known for. I'm telling you, Seattle has been doing this for a while. And I think I mentioned this last week, where they sandwich their seasons, where they start off hot, which kind of like I guess the Jets kind of did too this year. And I don't want to lump them into the same category, but I guess it's the way that you should, that if you wanted to do things, that this is the way to do. This is remember how I remember Giants winning, and a couple of a team that had hiccups. Not many hiccups, because a lot of other teams don't take 4, 5, 6, 7 losses, you know, in their hiccup in. It's usually only like 2 or 3. But it says Seattle sandwiches their season, which, like I said, I've seen Giants when I'm watching the Jets do this year, where they start off kind of hot, had a little bit of leeway to, I guess to have a couple of hiccup games where, okay, we could lose a few and not be out of the playoff picture, and then catch a spark, you know, put together a bunch of wins at the tail end of the season, and then go into the playoffs hot. This is what Seattle's done for the last couple of years, and it looks like that's what they're slated to do again this year. So I'm interested to see what happens there. And see, Arizona definitely has the defensive weapons to shut down anything that Seattle has, and vice versa. You know, hey, this is gonna be a game of will. I think that's what's really gonna come out. Like, this is really gonna be a game of will here, and I don't like picking against Seattle. I really don't, because Seattle has reeled off like 7 games in a row, something like that. No, that's not them. That's Kansas City that has like 9 wins in a row. But Seattle has something ridiculous like that too. Where they've had a nice little, at least I know, minimum of 4-game winning streak. That's minimum, because I'm just trying to keep it safe for what I'm saying here. So next, as I'm taking Arizona over them, is going to be Green Bay and Minnesota, as they're both tied up for with 10-5, sitting on top of the NFC North, and this has positional implications. So I want to see Minnesota come away with this one as well, just because I'm seeing if Teddy Bridgewater also says, "Hey, because this is another game I think is a little bit more willish." If him and Adrian Peterson, more Teddy Bridgewater, because for the longest time Minnesota has been missing a serviceable quarterback, just a serviceable quarterback to help Adrian Peterson out. And listen, the first time that him and his serviceable quarterback is together, you're talking about they have 10 wins already, looking at 11. I would like to see that happen. Green Bay is already struggling. Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers already have their ring. Green Bay has already had their deficiencies this year. I want to see Minnesota gain a little bit more momentum and go into that playoff with a little bit of steam and see what they do. And just think about it. All of those teams are potential matchups for Carolina. So if Carolina wants to win, they're going to have to go through the Seattles, the Arizonas, the Green Bays, and the Minnesotas. Listen, it's going to be tough. We'll see what they do. Next, we got Houston over Jacksonville. Houston and Jacksonville going to see Houston. I got Houston taking out Jacksonville. Houston has just been hot. They figured out a little way to win, and I think they should take out Jacksonville, even though Jacksonville still. You pick against Jacksonville, and Jacksonville still scares me. That's about the only thing I can say about that. I'm taking Pittsburgh over Cleveland, even though, like I said, that's another game I'm not really interested to watch it, but I guess I am interested in the results more than anything else. Patriots should take out Miami. Indy should take out Tennessee. Like I said, I'm not interested in that game either. Like that, but those two teams combined have 10 wins, so who cares? I'm gonna say that Cincinnati takes out Baltimore, but I wouldn't mind seeing Baltimore win over Cincinnati and get another upset win this week. Washington and Dallas, like I said, what's it, like 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row that they've won? So I would like to see Washington has continued. I think it's 4 games in a row. So I like to see Washington continue their winning streak. And Dallas already has nothing to play for, and now they said they're gonna sit down Dez Bryant, which means that you definitely have nothing of a weapon. So I don't see anything happening out of there. New Orleans and Atlanta now worries me, because Atlanta got that win last week, but over Carolina, I don't know if that still considers them a consistent enough team to put up 2 wins in a row. And with New Orleans, like I said, I also don't trust New Orleans, because New Orleans haven't held up their end of the bargain and to be a serviceable team this year. So in this case, I'm just going to stick with the home team, stick with Atlanta. Detroit I have over Chicago. Like, they're both 6-9. Who cares? Giants over Philly. Philly, like I said, that Odell Beckham's playing, so Philly just got more disgruntled than they've been. So the Giants should eke out one more win to make us question again. Should Tom Coughlin stay as the Giants head coach, or is it time for a new voice? Let's see. Let's see. It's not always a bad thing. It works out sometimes. But, like I said, he's going to win again, and we're going to question it again. Steelers should win over San Fran. Now, this is the one I like. Because even though Kansas City has railed off 9 wins in a row, division games, Oakland is a sneaky enough good team to steal a victory here. So I'm picking Oakland over Kansas City. Not to mention it helps the Jets with the playoff run. So that's a little bit more of a fanny pick than anything else. But I think it can be justified. Only because it's a division game. And it's 9 wins in a row. Like, it's like with Carolina, everybody can look like, listen, eventually you're going to have to like take an L somewhere, where you guys just aren't quite able to get up for the game as they should. I think this may be that game for Kansas City. We'll see. San Diego, I think, should take out Denver. And that's going to mean a whole bunch of other different things for Denver. Like I said, who knows what's going on in Denver? Like, Denver loses and they win. And like they won a very crucial game last week. Like, you understand that? Like I said, I didn't really recap last week, but I turned off that Cincinnati and Denver game. With Cincinnati up, thinking that game was over. Next you know, I wake up to overtime and a Denver win. So I'm not quite counting out Denver at home, but like I think that Phillip Rivers is going to be able to do what Andy Dalton-led Cincinnati wasn't able to do. That's the only thing that really justifies that for me. Like, remember, you don't forget you still got Phillip Rivers on the other side of that ball and Antonio Gates and the rest of them boys and some pride. Unless all of them guys are injured and I just don't know about it. They shouldn't be. And with that, yeah, that wraps up just about almost everything. We are going to now take a quick break. I guess you could call it pay some bills. Not really paying bills, but we are going to do something. We'll be back.
Tired of being ripped off by those other guys? Then head down to MultiBest Games and get the value you deserve. MultiBest. Find them at 830 183rd Street, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33169. Located just 5 minutes from Tootsie's and Sun Life Stadium in the plaza across from Snappers. MultiBest Games. Save more, play more.
So, welcome back. Thank you for still listening, sticking with me. I told you so last week I was gonna start really paying attention to a couple of NBA games as well. And based off all the teams I told you off the power ranking, excuse me. Ooh, you know what? Take a little break to mention this. You know what? If you guys listened to last week's show, I so thank you for bearing through that hack fest of I was so under the weather then. As you can see, today is a lot better. I am not coughing every 2 minutes. I don't need lozenges to keep my throat lubricated. Pause. So, you guys are getting a much better me today. So now back into it. So I told you last week I was going to watch, so I'll pay attention to a couple of NBA games and find a consistent way to have us follow each other, interact, so that you know exactly what I was going to be watching. So really, it boiled down to everything. All the games and all of the power ranked teams happen to be on the Christmas Day games. And you know what? That wasn't even the most interesting things that I saw. Like, I'm not even going to talk about that. You know what? Because it's not more interesting than the fact that, did any of you guys realize? And I don't know how many people are going to know this name. So this may be for a certain fan base, as like maybe the Knicks and a few other. That Tony Douglas is still in the league. Yes, Tony Douglas, brother of Atlanta's defensive back, whoever his first name is, Harvey Douglas or something like that, a wide receiver or whatever he is. Yeah, did anybody know he was still in the league? He is on the bench for the New Orleans Pelicans. I had no clue. I saw him on the bench. I forgot I was actually here with a female friend. And I saw that and I was like, wait 1 minute. One MyT Sports minute. Like, what's that? Like, you know what? I wasn't gonna give out any awards today. And you know, I probably still won't because I didn't load it in. But you know, who cares? Like, I'm actually gonna give out an award today. I really wasn't, but only for the simple fact I had no clue that this guy was still in the league. So, for him being on a team, or for we want a Pelican signing him for whatever odd reason, you get the Richard Cranium Award of the Week goes to New Orleans Pelicans for still employing Tony Douglas with a job. I don't know what he's done useful in the league in God knows how long. Like, he may be more useless than Mario Chalmers. Useless. Maybe more useless. Useful? Either or. Yeah, still equals out to be in my head. So, that was interesting to me. Like I said, that was more interesting to me than the games last week. You know, also was Clean Anthony Early, Knicks power forward off the bench, second year forward off the bench, leaving the strip club, gets shot and he's shot in the knee. He's in okay condition right now. I think I just read his Twitter within the last hour or so, and I saw a message that he put out that I retweeted on the MyT Sports. This MyT Vet actually on Instagram, not Instagram. MyT Vet on Twitter. There we go. Jeez. So it's one of the mornings. You have to bear with me. It's super early. Like, you have to understand. Like, okay, that's no excuse. It's just super early. It's not even sun yet, and the sun comes out very early in South Florida. You guys don't realize that we're still getting 80-degree weather. Like we're having a New Year's party, and we're gonna be in the pool. Like, you understand that? Like, we will be pool bound. I can't wait for this New Year's party. And on top of it, I need to find out if my friend Mia Neely is still coming down to visit me. Like, that's something else. I digress. I don't want to sidetrack too far. But yeah, Anthony Early gets shot in the knee. And not only that, I realized that the NBA has something that we haven't had in a while. And that's parity. Yes, sirree, Bob. This decade so far has been a decade of parity. And for champions, and think about it. Where in the past we've had runs, like consecutive runs, or taken over a decade for the majority part of Boston or LA, San Antonio Spurs and LA and even Chicago and LA. So there's been very, and then, little sprinkle in here, Detroit, a sprinkle in here of Houston. But for the most part, like this decade, we've seen LA, right? Or let me go backwards. I think it's a little easier for me to say it backwards. We've had Golden State, San Antonio, Miami, Dallas, and LA. Like, and you have to understand, like, the parity that you even were able to get during a time period where LeBron James had to put together a mega team just so he can say that he's a champion. Like you understand that the teams now, like especially since they broke up that big three, like the parity has never been more real. Like if you look at it, like take for instance just the top 5 of the power rankings still. Golden State, San Antonio Spurs, OKC, Cleveland, and moving into the number 5 spot is Atlanta. Now, I'm gonna tell you something funny also that I learned. And the NBA power ranking is not the same as the ESPN power ranking. They're two completely different power rankings, and they may be in a different order. Which means that you may have people in one that aren't in the other, which is what I learned. So when I do mine, I'll be going strictly off the NBA power ranking. As much as I love me some ESPN, I mean, if I'm gonna get the ranking from anybody, I might as well get it directly from the source, and that's the NBA. So these things were even, like I said, even the parody that I saw was more interesting than the Christmas. And the Christmas game were entertaining. They were entertainment. There was some ups, there was some downs. You know, there was some overtime, there was some oohs, there was some ahs. But you know, my most memorable part from the Christmas day was me having a discussion with somebody that tried to argue with me that LeBron James coming to Miami boosted Dwayne Wade's stock, and then it got boosted again when LeBron James left. But then again, also make it the point that his market is not going to be a sustainable market after the NBA like Jordan's is. Like, he's not going to be that legendary of a player. You know, like, he's going to be known for being the hometown kid the kid in Miami that stayed and brought 3 championships here, and he's going to be idolized down here. But to the rest of the world and the rest of the NBA, you know, the rest of the basketball, you know, well, he's going to be probably just as revered as the Charles Barkleys and Isaiah Thomases of the world. You know, like, they're going to be decent. You know, like, I think Charles Barkley, you know, market is, you know, his market is even going to be in a way more better condition than what Dwayne Wade's market is going to be long term, you know, when he leaves the NBA. So, just long talks about talks. So, little milestones happen also in the NBA. Dirk Nowitzki moved into 6th place in the all-time scoring list to pass Shaquille O'Neal. Carmelo Anthony, and I hope this number is correct, moved into the 32nd spot to be only behind. Jeez, gotta be making a link in the 2nd spot, and that moved him currently behind Larry Bird. So, some big milestones. Larry Bird is now on the hunt by Carmelo Anthony, and like I said, that's a big thing. Like, even though we understand that this is a new game and, you know, a faster pace and different rules, more 3-pointers. Listen, the game is the game. It's like the 3-point line wasn't there when Larry Bird was there, and it's like Larry Bird wasn't one of the best shooters. He could have shot more. He could have done more. You know, it isn't his fault. You know, I'm not blaming him, but don't take anything away from guys like Stephen Curry and Carmelo Anthony when they pass him on the list for stuff. So we kind of move into this week's, and like I said, this week's power rank, you know, top 5 teams: Golden State, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Cleveland, and Atlanta. Atlanta moved up from the 7th spot to move into the 5th spot, and before them, Indiana was in that spot, and so they dropped from 5 down to number 9. The Heat and the Knicks. The Heat drop a spot from 7 to 6, and the Knicks go from 18 down to 21st. And it's, you know, while we're here actually talking about the Heat and the Knicks back to back, something I happened to learn actually over the weekend or over this last week while watching them. Both teams may be better with their young big men off the court right now in the 4th quarter. And it's odd. I know, right? Like, I know you're looking at me like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, T is crazy. MyT? And, you know, you're not wrong. I am a little off my rocker. You know, that's I could have swore that was a given. But more than nothing, more than anything, you know, I'm looking at these games, and okay, so let's start with Miami, right? Miami has gotten Whiteside to the point where, Whiteside, you know, Miami and Whiteside have gotten themselves to the point where Whiteside can now play in the fourth quarter. And when he plays in the fourth quarter now, and remember he was having foul trouble, and so they couldn't play him in the fourth quarter because he wasn't there. And now he's managed himself where he's no longer in foul trouble. But now when he plays in the fourth quarter, his defensive ferociousness, or his defensive, what is the word that I'm looking for here? Like his defensive, not awareness, but his defensive tenacity is not the same. He's not as tenacious as he was his defense in the first three quarters as he is in the fourth. And for those reasons, they're being outscored, and his point differential is, or his plus minus is dipping drastically in the fourth quarter because he's not as aggressive as he was early in the game. And I'm looking at it, and I'm kind of torn between one or two things. I really don't think it's fatigue at this current point in time, as much as I think that it's a tentativeness. You have to remember, like, this is the guy that he has been struggling to stay in fourth quarters because of his foul trouble. So if there was any time that he probably in his head where he felt like, listen, there's definitely a time I don't want to foul and I don't want to mess up, it's in the fourth quarter. And that may cause that little bit of hesitation or tentativeness in his game that isn't helping the Miami Heat to close out games properly. Because if that's the case, you might as well not have him on the court. But he's still there. Like, he's got to learn something. Like, even if it's the Roy Hibbert straight up move, he's like, listen, in the fourth quarter, I'm gonna have to like commit to this, but I'm gonna challenge everything. But I'm gonna commit to straight up. Then that may be what he has to go to. But he has to find out a way to make his presence felt in the fourth quarter the way it's felt through quarters 1 and 3. And that goes right into and it's almost the complete opposite, or opposite end of the floor when it comes to, the Knicks center or forward Porzingis, where when he's in the game in the fourth quarter, I think he gets tentative on offense, and it's not even that he is tentative. It's that when things are close, and it's the Mellows, and it's Lance Thomas, and it's a follow, and all these other guys on the court, he doesn't command nor demand the ball enough to get shots off. And remember, he is one of the best. He is one of our best, if not our second best, offensive option. And I watched this, and I forget what game it was where, but like I said, it's starting to become a pattern where the last, 3 minutes of a game, 5 minutes at most, that he's not getting touches, just completely not getting touches. The ball is going every other way around that court except for in his hands. He's not getting it down low. He's not getting it up top. He's not getting it in the middle. He's just not touching it. But also, what's even more worse, and I guess it's compounding that error that he's not getting the ball, is that he also doesn't ask for the ball. He doesn't demand the ball. He doesn't command the ball. You understand? He's 7'3", and I'm not saying that he shies away from the ball, but he shrinks so much that nobody notices him. So he needs to learn now, I think, how to start making himself known that, listen, hey, I'm open here. Get me the ball. Maybe if it means getting demonstrative with somebody, like, hey, I was open on that wing. Get me that ball. Getting demonstrative a little bit, clapping loud. Like I see him like giving a little wave, like he's a shy 7-year-old waving at his crush from across the street. No. Ball. He's gonna have to learn. And so with those two things happening almost simultaneously, I guess that's what you see why the Heat and the Knicks both fell in the power rankings. But you know what? We're going to watch them this week, and we're going to see what happens. At the bottom of the power rankings, things haven't changed. Brooklyn is still Brooklyn, and Joe Johnson is still poison to that team. I don't care what nobody says. Like, Joe Johnson is really lucky. Like, I don't know how he's sliding underneath that radar. I'm gonna have to send a message out to all of the New York reporters. I swear I am. Stephen A. Smith. I'm gonna send one out to Ryan Rucco. I'm gonna send out one to Mike Lupica. Like I gotta find out where to hear Mike Lupica. But I'm gonna send out one to everybody. You understand? Like, when I say a message out to everybody, I'm just gonna shoot them a message on Twitter. Like don't get it twisted. Like I don't know none of these people. Right, but I'm gonna hit them up and I'm gonna see if I can get, and I can get a little flag waved over there, because I don't listen. It's Kobe's farewell tour. That's the reason why he's getting a pass for how bad he's doing, because the Lakers haven't moved from the 29th team either. There's no excuse for what's going on with Joe Johnson in Brooklyn, for him shooting as bad as he's doing, for his plus minus being as bad as it is. Like, I'm sorry, like, I really hope I heard incorrect, but I heard it's like in the hundreds. Like, but it can't be that bad. Like, something can't be that. Yeah, there's no way. But listen, something is going on with Brooklyn. It's going on bad, and I thought being rid of Deron Williams probably would have helped, but it's not. But that's also, I didn't realize that Joe Johnson had officially passed his prime. Like, officially passed it. Like, which means that the franchise, which I guess is always they were trying to ease towards anyway, is going to be Brook Lopez. They got to get Brook Lopez some weapons. He can't carry a franchise. And yep, I told you that's Brooklyn, that's LA at 28 and 29. And yep, number 30, last team, worst team. Philadelphia 76ers. There's nothing you can say about them. I just keep watching games in hopes that eventually they're going to do something right, and we'll be able to watch them in the future, because like Okafor and Embiid have a mountain to climb to be two franchise players that helps the team that's bet 500. But they're on their way to get another high draft pick. Let's hope this time that they can get like maybe a shooting guard, or somebody in that shooting guard small forward position that can be a guard to take over, that can also help dump into big man. But as of right now, it's not looking too good for them. So with the games coming up now for this week, Golden State's gonna play Sacramento, Dallas, Denver, Houston, and out of all, I guess I'm probably gonna catch that Houston game. See him and the bearded one. San Antonio, and this is probably the only time I'm gonna double dip for the season, because I think I probably already missed that Minnesota game. Is that Minnesota or Miami? I think that's Minnesota. I already missed that Minnesota game. I probably should have, or it's coming on tonight, so I'll probably watch that this week. Actually, I'll probably still watch it this week, and I'll probably also watch them play Houston. Oklahoma City plays Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Charlotte. I watched them play Milwaukee last night. Actually, I watched them play Milwaukee today. What am I saying? Actually, no. What am I saying? I watched them play Milwaukee yesterday during the afternoon at work. Yeah. Full game, not condensed. Like, listen, it was a lot more listening than watching, but got a good, decent aspect. Listen, I thought it was going to be a good game, and for the most part, it really was. The game had some back and forths. They tested each other. Oklahoma City had to really grind it out to come out with a victory over Milwaukee. They didn't think that they wouldn't, but it's something that they had to work for. Ante Antetokounmpo, I just like being able to say his name. To be honest with you, the only reason why I even mention it. He showed up. He played his game. Michael Carter Williams, the stars played. Kevin Durant, he struggled early with his shot, but then very, very quickly, as there was a matchup between Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant for a while, and so the Kevin Durant struggles with his shot early, as like I said, that score's going back and forth for a while. Then Kevin Durant realizes, okay, you know what, my shot is off. Let me go ahead and start taking this ball to the rim. And he starts taking the ball to the rim. They can't stop it there. He's going to the foul line, and then things just start to warm up slowly. But even after Oklahoma City had felt like what was taking back command of the game, who was it for Milwaukee that took over? Was it Morrow or somebody like that? It was somebody that came off. They got they got a huge spark from an unexpected player, and then it took Kevin Durant sticking him, and using his defense and wingspan. Because listen, like, it's been a completely different year for Kevin Durant from a defensive end now, that he is now focusing on that end of the floor where I don't think that he's ever really focused on before. And because when he decided to, take away this guy's fizzle, that's when momentum shifted again, and they just close out the game. Man, it's gonna be interesting. Cleveland, I want to see play Orlando. Orlando is 17-13, so they're not being talked about as much because they're that team that's barely above 500 in the East, and as we know that 500 isn't getting you in the playoff in the East this year, which is usually not the situation. Atlanta, I want to see them play the Knicks. But you wonder, like, hey, if you want to see Atlanta play the Knicks, who do you want to see the Knicks play? I want to see the Knicks play something completely different. I got leeway. I'm gonna be interested to see the Heat take on Washington. Next, I want to see them play Chicago again. I want to see it. Like I said, Chicago. Listen, if Chicago needs to be that team for us to keep beating, to keep momentum, then I want to see it. Because listen, we just beat Detroit, and Detroit was I think we beat Detroit. Shoot. So I'm gonna finish up that statement. So we beat Detroit, which is a good game that we needed to have. Yes, we did actually. Oh yeah, them boys balled out. Derek Williams. Yep, Derek Williams. Man, that boy. In that fourth quarter, I think he put up 16, 18 points in the fourth quarter. You saw them little frosted, highlighted tip braids of dreads of his flying all over the place. He was in fuego. So I want to see them continue that streak and see if they can get another win over Chicago, and then also take that and play a better team in Atlanta, because it'll be taking baby steps. You have to understand, like, Detroit was no easy team to beat. Like, this team has improved just as much over last season as the Knicks have. You understand? Like, at this point last year, neither one of these teams, I think, had double-digit wins. So for the fact that both of these teams are sitting right around 500, it's something to commend which other team decided to come out on top, during that matchup. So the Knicks beating Detroit, I like it, but like I said, you move on to a better team like Chicago. And then I want to see him move on again and play Atlanta, and hopefully he could take that one from Atlanta. So that's why I said, I want to see Atlanta play the Knicks. But I want to see first the Knicks play Chicago, because I want to see how the Knicks fare with Chicago. And then comes to where you have to really fight to find games, because right now we're back at the bottom 3 of the power ranking with Brooklyn, LA, and Philly. And I'm going to watch, like I said, I already watched Brooklyn play Miami. And like I said, that game was a lot more interesting than Brooklyn should make it. But from what I'm hearing, is that this is what Brooklyn is doing, for a lot of games. Like, they don't play half bad. They're just not winning. And then Joe Johnson, he's just poison. He can't hit anything. Like I said, he's always been a kind of a volume shooter, and volume shooting isn't the way to go anymore in the league. Like, it's really gone. Like, you need to become efficient these days. Like, Stephen Curry, has a little bit of volume, but he's efficient. LA, I want to see Boston, only because I want to see Kobe go back into the go into Boston's court. I refuse to say his name, and for good old sakes, and take a victory out of there. If they were honored, I know them honoring Kevin Garnett is because Kevin Garnett won for them. But listen, you don't need no honoring Kobe. Kobe's been playing pretty decently these last couple of nights, and I think he may be actually playing Boston last night. So I may have to go back and watch that game as we, as we're speaking about it. Then move on to the final game, and that's Philly. And Philly's actually playing this week at Utah, Sacramento, the Lakers, and the Clippers. And normally in the series, I probably there's a part of me that really want to watch Sacramento play, but I just can't keep watching Sacramento. Like, Sacramento hurts to watch more than anything, because Sacramento should be winning. They're just dysfunctional for no reason, because they definitely have talent. They just can't get over themselves for some. So I don't want to watch that. I'm gonna watch the Clippers, and I'm gonna watch that dysfunctional bunch. Actually beat up on Philly because listen, Philly's probably gonna lose all of those games, and I don't blame them. They should. They suck. They really do. Like talking about like bad teams, like jeez. Philly really needs to find a way to get some talent. The thing about it, they can't even get any free agents in there that matter. Because who wants to... Like, you know what's going to happen? Somebody's eventually going to look at that team. Like, I think, like, LeBron could go to Philly and do some damage. Like, Kevin Durant could go to Philly and do some damage, you know? Like that's what it would take, but I don't see any of those guys doing it. But, yeah, that team needs work. That team needs work. That team needs work like holes on New Year's, you know. I said holes. Potholes, you know. Like, oh, never mind. You want to get it. It's a New York thing. You know what? I'll be back. Listen to these commercials.
They didn't join this team to win championships or become famous. They joined because there is important work to be done, and only some able to do it. They are brighter, better educated, led, and equipped than any team in history. They are doctors, lawyers, engineers, technologists, and combat troops, all prepared for whatever comes their way. You'll find them where the lights don't flash, and the only contract they sign is with themselves and their country. One day, they may be asked what they did to make a difference in this world, and they can respond, I became a soldier.
And we're back. Thank you, guys. We're in the last block of the show. So, I decided like to keep my ears to the street just a little bit, or my ears to the glass just a little bit. And excuse me, this is more just to give everybody a little bit of something more than anything else. But so I hear that the Panthers, that they had a nice little victory last night, and they tell the Montreal team 95 North, 95 North, 95 North. I don't know how they were chanting this. That's how I'm chanting it. You know, and I think that's pretty interesting. Like, granted, I'm not sure if Montreal is directly 95 North, because I'm not sure which one is on this side. Isn't that Toronto, though? And, you know, I guess that's kind of like redundant, isn't it? Because isn't almost everything that you have to start out with in South Florida 95? You could say that for almost anything. It's the 95 North. Like that's pretty much could be the starting point for any road trip out of Florida. 95 North, 95 North, 95 North. Like, there's not too many ways to get out of South Florida besides 95 North. Especially for all the teams that are playing us, it's usually going to be 95 North. But hey, I'm not trying to poo-poo on their celebration or their victory chant. I'm just saying, I thought it was interesting. And you know, more than anything else, I like pointing out interesting things. But what I really learned though, like out of anything, out of my conversation with the season ticket holding Panthers fans that I was talking to, this new 3-on-3 thing that hockey is trying there, they don't like it. They don't like it at all. They don't like it, no. Sorry, B. They're pretty much. Oh, listen, I'm sorry. They really just don't like this whole this whole concept. Now you do a 3-on-3, then after this you do a slap shootout or whatever. They think it's gimmicky, and they think it needs to be done away with. But talking about things that I thought were gimmicky at first, but now it's just being devoured massively. College football playoffs, and college football playoffs are set to take off this weekend. You know, as you know, football has Thanksgiving and basketball has Christmas. You know, college football has New Year's. In college, so when does hockey have? I'm gonna have to research that. What day does hockey get? Hockey get Valentine's Day? Just get on the ice, holding hands, starting fights, busting people's teeth, knocking them out, skating them. Skating them, not skeeting them, I said skating them. What I mean by skating them is like hitting them with the blade of your skate. I don't know what they do. Hockey's a vicious sport. But, so, college football playoffs is coming up. Obviously, we have the 4 teams, Clemson versus Oklahoma and Michigan State versus Alabama. And I told you, I don't know much about college football last year, so, not last year, but, over the past couple weeks, I've told you this, so I have to do a little bit of research. And when I say a little bit, it's a very minute amount of research that is being done on my part to pick these winners. But I was going to tell you like this. There's only one thing I know about Clemson. You have orange paws. Orange is my favorite color. And they haven't been beaten in my favorite color. So I know about Clemson. What I know about Oklahoma is Boom, Suma. Go Sooners. Go Sooners. Boom, Sooners. That's what I know about Oklahoma. And I'm going with the chant over my color. Also, listen, I don't know anything about Clemson enough to really root for them outside. Really pick them outside of the outside of the color of their jersey. I know my Booski. I told you about her. Deborah she's gonna choke me if she hears that. This will be the second time I've called her that damn name. My Booski, Deborah Segovia. I don't know why this lady's name stuck in my head. She must be thinking about me a lot. She must secretly want me or something, and I don't know about it. But she's fertile. Hope she don't ever listen to this podcast. That would be awkward. I see her at my favorite watering hole, because she works in one of my favorite watering holes. And then she's like, yeah, I heard about your podcast and how you said that you think that I want to fuck you and how fertile I am. But she is fertile, though. Jeez, she is fertile. She's one of them, no, I couldn't even do it. She's one of them girls, you just afraid, if you look at her, you'll get her pregnant. She's so fertile. You have, I'm pretty sure, a bunch of, a couple of guys like that. I have a homeboy like that. He just shoots out way too many kids. My brother's one of them. My middle brother's one of them. Has way too many kids. For him to have just this, that's just to be natural. You guys must be taking steroids or something for fertility. But so I'm gonna take Oklahoma over Clemson because I think Oklahoma may have a feel for bigger games more than I think Clemson does. Like I said, I don't hear much about Clemson normally. And Clemson is a new team to this upper echelons of play. They may be the number one team, but they're not number one based off notoriety, I guess is to say. So based off notoriety alone, it makes it hard for me to pick a no-name school versus a school that I know that I hear them in contention for something all the time, not just football. So let's go Sooners. Next, we got the Goodyear Bowl because I refuse to call it what its other name is, and that other one, Clemson versus Oklahoma, that was the Capital One Bowl, by the way. Or the Capital One Bowl. Michigan State versus Alabama. I told you, it's real simple here for me. Roll Tide. That's basically it. Alabama over Michigan, which means, and see, told you I don't know enough about college football, but I think enough of me happens for some odd reason to think that there's a rivalry with Oklahoma and Alabama somewhere. Like, this has happened before, and when they play each other, there's not a lot of love there. So I want to see Oklahoma versus Alabama. I want to see the Boomer Sooners versus the Roll Tides. And once it gets there, listen, I don't have a dog in the race here, so I'm gonna go with who my friend's team is, and I'm gonna pick Oklahoma to win it all. So if you ask me right now here today, I think the number 4 team, Oklahoma, is gonna be your national champion. But they have to still get to the next round. And next week when we talk, we'll see if my predictions were right. And if they were, then listen, we'll move on. If they weren't, then listen. If they weren't, then we just pick a new. Then I'll just have to do a new prediction. if they do it right, I don't really have to talk about it. We could just recap next week. Last but not least, I'm just gonna leave you guys with telling you about the Power Showcase again. That's coming up. Or I shouldn't say that's coming up. The Power Showcase that's going on in Marlins Park this week. It's already been going on. They've had their home run derbies for what's called 14U, 13U, and 12U. So right now, the finalists for the home run derbies have been Tyler Joseph, and this is among the future stars of 14U, right? Tyler Joseph with 9 home runs, Bryson Kemp with 6 home runs, Victor Mederos with also 5 home runs. I'm sorry, not also, but with 5 home runs. Also, Victor Mederos had the longest home run, and from the looks of it, it looks like of the evenings so far, or the whole entire tournament, of 414 feet. Now, in the Future Star 13U category, they had Blaze Jordan, he hit 8 home runs, Nathan Smith with 6 home runs, and the finalist in the Future Stars 12 and under. Okay. So, I'm going to read this again because I think I read it backwards. No, maybe I didn't. Guess I read it backwards. But I'm starting to think that some of these guys may not be in it. So, in the Future Star, for the 12U, we have 80 and Max with 12 home runs. Wow. Gio Cieto with 10 home runs. Look at them. And then Easton Hood, he only had 5 home runs, but he had the longest home run amongst their group with 396 feet, which makes me believe that earlier when I said in the Stars 14U that the 2 finalists are only going to be Tyler Joseph with 9 home runs and Bryson Kemp with 6 home runs. And just to let you know, as a side note, Victor Mederos hit the longest home run amongst their group and of the evening so far, 414 feet. And just remember, this Power Showcase is going on all week long. It's going to be running today. It's going to be... They're actually going to shut down tomorrow. And then you're going to hear them again. And not just hear them. It's going to be up and running again on Saturday. And not only will they be up and running on Saturday, but I will be doing the commentary for the All-Star game, the play-by-play. So come check me out. Come listen to MyT Sports, your boy Talon, T. Taylor. As I do the commentary, I will most likely Periscope it. I'm going to take some videos. I'm going to take some pictures. I'm going to put some stuff live on Twitter, so look for me on the MyT Vet. I'm gonna switch that up before the event back to MyT Sports. I was checking something out. Actually, I really do like the MyT Vet because I think it helps with my interaction with other major figures that I like to talk to. So if you're ever looking for me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is MyT Vet. MYT space VET. That's what you call it. But I'm pretty sure if you type in MyT Sports, you'll probably still find it because that's what my act is. Just the username, something different. That's about it. Thank you guys for listening. As I always say, you can find me everywhere that you want to be. You can find me on Facebook, on MyT Sports. You can find me on SoundCloud, obviously, at the MyT Sports Minute. As I just mentioned earlier, you can find me on Twitter as the MyT Vet, VET. And Instagram, I have not given out my Instagram ever. I believe, like I said, my Instagram has been a little bit more intimate for me. But like I said, if you follow me, if you come find me on Instagram and you follow me, like, I'm not going to deny you access to me. I just don't actively give it out. That's my time. Until next week. Peace and love, my friends. Peace and love. Look at show, right? I don't know. Like, always go for an hour. Like hour 5, hour 6, hour 10. We're getting better though, right?